Hi, it's Tim Gihring, and this is the second in our series of Fireside Stories. More casual episodes as we await the start of our new season of The Object in March. And this is the sound of my own fireplace at home. Staying cozy as the last of winter leaves us here in Minneapolis. All too early for winter lovers like me, though this year, maybe just in time. Sit back, enjoy, and see you soon. Bob Thompson is 18 when he decides to go to medical school. Because his mother has always wanted this for him, and because his father has recently died. And now Thompson is depressed and living in Boston with his sister and doesn't have any better ideas for moving forward. So in 1955, he enrolls in a pre-med program at Boston University. But by the next year already, he is an art student. Pre-med had bored him, so he leapt to the next thing, as he will for the rest of his life. I paint many paintings that tell me slowly that I have something inside of me that is just bursting, twisting, sticking, spilling over to get out, Thompson says. Out into souls and mouths and eyes that I've never seen before. Well, let's go back to 1937 in Louisville, Kentucky, where Thompson is born into a middle-class black family. His mother a school teacher, his father in the dry cleaning business. Thompson is often sick. He gets encephalitis and the mumps and even goes into a coma briefly. And then when Thompson is 13 and his father dies in a car accident, the world seems to darken even more. Thompson goes to live with his much older sister and her husband in Boston, and they introduce him to jazz and art. And something moves inside him, like he's found his way onto the road that will take him where he wants to go, and he can finally let go. Stop bracing and breathe. Sure, he gives medical school a try because you never know. But it's art that wins out. He goes back to Louisville, where he finds work decorating the windows of a department store. And he wins a scholarship to the local art school. By 1959, he's in New York and has his first solo art show. The art is pouring out of him and onto the canvas. He's riffing, he says, like the jazz cats he comes to know. Charlie Hayden, the bass player, Ornette Coleman, the saxophonist. The guys inventing free jazz. And poets, too, like Leroy Jones, who will become Amiri Baraka, who is writing things like, "Lately, I've become accustomed to the way the ground opens up and envelops me each time I go out to walk the dog. On the broad edge, silly music the wind makes when I run for a bus, things have come to that. And now, each night I count the stars, and each night I get the same number. And when they will not come to be counted, I count the holes they leave. Nobody sings anymore." He befriends Allen Ginsberg, too, the poet who wrote Howl just a few years before Thompson came to town. The poem that opens, "I saw the best minds of my generation destroyed by madness, starving, hysterical, naked." Ginsberg calls Thompson the most original visionary painter of his days, and the first natural American psychedelic colorist. Jack Kerouac had written in On the Road about the mad ones, the ones who are mad to live, mad to talk, mad to be saved, desirous of everything at the same time. Without knowing that soon after the book would come out, in 1957, Bob Thompson would show up in New York as the maddest one of them all. When the first happenings begin to, happen in New York, full of spontaneous music and poetry and art making, Thompson is there. When the poets and painters gather at the Cedar Bar at the edge of Greenwich Village, where Jackson Pollock tore the door off the bathroom stall and was banned, and Jack Kerouac pissed in an ashtray and was banned, Thompson is there too. Leroy Jones is there often, and Thompson paints him with the poet Barbara Guest at the bar. And Jones writes a suite of poems for Thompson. But Thompson isn't much interested in modern art, abstract art. When he was in Massachusetts, an artist had told him, "Don't ever look for your solutions from contemporaries. Look at old masters." And so when he was in art school, he began to copy the old Renaissance artists from books. He was not that good at it at first. He got a B- on his paper on the painter Piero della Francesca. But eventually, he began to memorize the shapes and styles of 600 years ago until he was comfortable there, among the lush gardens and the ruins and the gods at play. So comfortable that he put his own characters in them, his own gods of music and sex and poetry. In New York, this isn't always appreciated. In Jones's poems for Thompson, he seems to tell the artist, in Thompson's words, to get your head out of that dead, stale cave of Italians and be a spade. Critics call his allusions to the masters primitive and unsubtle. Thompson himself says, "I cannot find a place nor category in which to put my paintings, nor a name to call them." But it doesn't seem to matter. He paints constantly, finishing a work about every 3 days, and they sell. Often with the same wild colors of orange and yellow and green, and with the same kind of faceless, naked figures, blending the old religious themes and Baroque bacchanals with modern ideas of color and hanging out. A nativity scene of red and yellow people gathered under the trees like hippies. A garden of music with naked people playing saxophone and bass, who are meant to be Sonny Rollins and John Coltrane and Nina Simone. And birds. Often there are birds as symbols of freedom or the ultimate flight of death. For years, Thompson imagines Europe so intensely that he feels very comfortable there. Too comfortable, as Leroy Jones thinks. And then in 1961, shortly after his wedding, he goes with his wife. And for a long time, they don't come back. Europe is, as many Black Americans had already discovered, a place of comfort. To James Baldwin, the author, who moved to Paris in 1948, it was a refuge, a place to escape the racism of America and to reflect on it. To Langston Hughes, who moved there in the 1920s, it was as much an end as a new beginning. He literally throws overboard a box of books he had brought on the ship that carried him there, which felt, he said, like throwing 1,000,000 bricks out of my heart. For it wasn't only the books that I wanted to throw away, but everything unpleasant and miserable out of my past. Thompson, in Paris, sets up a studio in the so-called Beat Hotel on the left bank, where Ginsberg and William Burroughs are also hanging out. He goes to the Louvre almost every day to study the paintings that he then reinterprets. Christ coming down off the cross becomes a kind of woodsy wake of bright naked people standing around the trees. Nicolas Poussin's Bacchanal with lute player becomes homage to Nina Simone, now at the Minneapolis Institute of Art. A groovy concert of naked men, women, and children dancing in a park. A Fra Angelico painting of two saints being beheaded becomes a lynching he calls the execution. The old masters become a kind of folk music, open to reinvention for a new generation, available to the people who need them most. Like that scene in Il Postino, the Postman movie, right? Where the postman tells the great poet Pablo Neruda, poetry doesn't belong to those who write it, it belongs to those who need it. Who knows why Bob Thompson needs those old masters, but he does. In 1963, after returning to New York with a huge trove of paintings, he joins one of the hottest galleries in town. And all of his shows there break attendance records. He is, out of nowhere, one of the biggest names in the art world. And he seems to know why, even if no one else does. Soon he's back in Europe, in Rome finally. But even far from New York, he can't seem to escape himself, like Langston Hughes did. Thompson has long loved to party, and like so many of the musicians and writers he loves, he is addicted to heroin. And now, in Rome in the mid-1960s, he is, as Kerouac put it, like those fabulous Roman candles. Burn, burn, burning, exploding like spiders across the stars. Money, fame, drugs. They are all held out to him, and he turns none of it away. When his gallbladder fails in March 1966, he has emergency surgery and survives. But soon he is back to his old ways. His work, where everyone is naked and mostly comfortable in their bodies, seems to suggest that he knows we live in our flesh, among the pleasures and the pain it affords us. No wonder he's drawn to the Renaissance. But he also seems to know that we die there too. That the body is a vessel, and what it contains, if we let it, comes bursting, twisting, sticking, spilling out of it, until it's empty. When he dies in May 1966, a few weeks shy of 29, he leaves more than 1,000 paintings behind, produced in just 8 years. More than 3 times as many as Rembrandt. About 30 times more than Vermeer managed. Leroy Jones writes another poem for Thompson. A poem now in the collection of the Smithsonian, typed on a single sheet with Jones's handwriting on top. A poem to be read at Bob Thompson's funeral. The penalty is death. For death, it begins. You crawl up in the dark stomach of a monster, and the blood feels good running in your mouth. You smile. You sit and say intelligence to animals. You hold hands with dumb material and lose all light. This has been a bonus episode of the Object Podcast, produced by the Minneapolis Institute of Art and made possible by Ameriprise Financial. Stay tuned for a new season of The Object starting March 15, with all new episodes, bonus stories, encores, live shows, and more. Subscribe now so you never miss an episode. I'm Tim Gihring, and thank you very much for listening.